Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our very first podcast. The goal of this podcast is not just to inspire you, but to bring out the best in you. Today at our studio, I'm thrilled to introduce you to an individual who has made her mark in the world of business. She's a true powerhouse, a trailblazer, and an inspiration to many entrepreneurs, especially women. With a strong entrepreneurial spirit and a sharp business acumen, she has come a long way in the business world, overcoming many challenges and achieving remarkable success along the way. Her journey is a testament to the heights that can be reached with determination, resilience, and the passion for what you do. On this podcast, we are privileged to delve into the remarkable journey of Shafoli Kapur. Today, we'll learn about her strategies for success, the lessons she has learned along the way, and the vision she holds for the future. Prepare to be inspired as we uncover the secrets behind her rise to prominence and gain valuable insights from her experience. So without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to the phenomenal businesswoman, Shafoli Kapur. Welcome to the podcast, Shafoli.
Thank you so much, Arminder. I am quite impressed by the introduction. I think you've gone far and beyond to introduce me today, but thank you so much, and thank you for having me here today.
You're very welcome. So, Shafoli, why don't you tell us about your life in Canada? How has been your life in Canada so far?
Oh, well, life in Canada has been quite a journey for me. I started from nowhere, knowing absolutely nobody, having absolutely nobody to support me, to here where I have people like yourself and a lot of other people who are always there, for me, supporting me. Have my own social network, professional network. I have my children, my family that I call my own. So for sure, the journey in Canada has been truly, truly inspiring.
Very good. Very well. Very well. Well, what brought you to Canada and what has kept you here? A lot of people are going back from Canada, but you're still here. So what's kept you here?
Oh my God. Canada is home for me. I can never even think of going back regardless of the struggles. And believe me not, I have my struggles as well. It's not that life is hunky-dory for anybody here. We all go through our struggles each day, every day. But still, Canada is home for me. So I'm not even thinking about moving back. But what brought me to Canada? That's a very interesting question. I wasn't even thinking about Canada when I came to Canada 15 years ago, and Canada was not on my mind at all. In fact, even living outside India was not on my mind at all. I'd never thought about it. It just so happened, Canada happened. I came to Canada with my husband, my then husband, of course, and I just followed along. He wanted to come here. He wanted to pursue his higher education in Canada, and I followed along. And here I am 15 years later calling Canada my... I probably relate to Canada more than I relate to India at this point.
Oh, really? Okay. So you came here because of your husband, right? But did you ever at any point want to come to Canada?
No, I'll tell you a very interesting story, actually. In about 2004, so I come from a family where, my father's been like an extremely, supportive father, and he's always tried to give me that exposure in life that I personally feel I was very lucky, and I'm grateful to him for giving me that life. I came to Canada in 2004 all by myself, just for a vacation, and I hated it. I did not like it. I wanted, it was a 17-day trip, and I wanted to go back on the fifth day. So yeah, for me, Canada was never a thought. It never even crossed my mind that I wanted to come and live in Canada.
Want to spend your life here.
I wanted to be in India, and I wanted to live in India, in Chandigarh, that small town girl. Never thought of moving abroad. But my husband wanted to study. He wanted to do his MBA in Canada, and I came with him because we just got married. And I had the opportunity of working here while he was studying. Mm-hmm. So, and at that time, when you're that young and you're newly married, then, you always want to be together.
Of course.
And I did that. And I just came with him.
So what you're telling me is completely the opposite, right? Usually, I see a lot of visitors who come here to Canada. They fall in love with Canada during their visit to Canada, and then they try to get their status extended by converting it to a work permit or permanent residence, and they continue to stay here. But for you, it was different, right? So when you came here as a visitor, you didn't like it, but when you came here as on an open work permit, you started to fall in love with it.
It's not that I started falling in love with it when I came to Canada and I got no, it wasn't that. It's I love Canada today at the age I am at.
Okay.
The struggles that I have overcame in all these 15 years of my life has made me fall in love with this country. The woman I am today is because of this country. I spent the prime years of my life in this country working my beep beep off and trying to stand on my two own feet. So for me, Canada is where I belong today because I worked so hard. Again, I'm not saying I've reached somewhere or I've attained my goals in life. No, I have a long way to go. But in these 15 years, I have worked so hard that I don't want it any other way anymore. This is my life. This is where I belong.
All right. Okay. So that was actually my next question, right? Was it easy for you in Canada or was it challenging? So you've said that it was challenging for you.
No, it's not easy for anybody. So if anybody ever tells me, oh, it was very easy for us, no, they're lying. I haven't come across one person in Canada, and trust me, I've come across many through my business, personal life, professional life. It's never been easy for anybody. We all go through struggles, and we all go through struggles even today, no matter what stage in life are we at, whether it's personal struggles, whether it's professional struggles, whether it's financial struggles, whether it's health struggles. We all go through struggles. That is the truth of life. So it hasn't been easy. No, I have worked very hard to today sit here and talk and be in a position where I can even share my experiences. I have worked hard for it.
Very good. Well, you did say that, life has struggled some. Of course, life is a struggle. It is across the globe, but how is life different in Canada versus India or, outside Canada?
So
What's the difference in the challenges?
So I'll probably only be able to compare life between India and Canada and how the challenges are different in Canada than India. In any home country that you belong to or wherever you come from, life is different. You have a support system. You have your family. You have your friends that you've known for years. A lot of times we inherit a lot of things in India. Like, I'll give you a very small example. If you're living with our parents in India, we don't have to really pay the mortgage for houses, or we don't have to pay rents. Okay, things are of course changing in India. People have started moving out and living in, rented accommodation, or they've started owning the places. But again, that security is there. That God forbid if things don't work, you still have a fallback option. You can still go back home. Here, right. You don't have that option. Mm-hmm. When you come here all by yourself, leaving, everything behind, your family, your support system, the home that you've grown up in. When you leave everything behind, your asset is extremely vulnerable, and you come to this new country with nobody that you know, and you have to start from scratch. So I think that in itself is a huge struggle, just to accept the fact that here you are in this new country all by yourself, and you have to make it work. By hook or by crook, you got to make it work. That's the difference. It's just that support system. Sometimes it's just that, it's just psychological. It's just that mental barrier that, oh my God, what are we going to do? How are we going to manage? You don't even know where to go get grocery. How are you going to go get for those initial struggles I'm talking about? I remember 15 years ago, I didn't even know where to order a pizza for dinner, for that matter. That's a struggle. You don't know. You have your set or your favorite places back home where you've lived all your life, and then suddenly you're picked up from one place and planted in another, and you have to literally start from scratch. And I think that's a huge struggle in itself. And I applaud every single person who takes that huge decision to leave behind their family and come to a new country to start from scratch. It's a big, big decision to take.
That's right. Do you think, there's a lot of people heading back to their home countries because of the struggle they see in Canada. So what do you think are some of the reasons people are leaving Canada?
Well, again, I think the reasons can be many. Some people go back because of their family, because their parents need them, they're getting old. Or some people move back just because they don't like the climate here, because it can get harsh sometimes. The winters can be brutal here. Not everybody can survive that. Although I personally feel that, it's all up here in the head. But again, everybody has their own physical limitations as well, so no comments there. Then some people move back because of financial struggles. Financial struggles in a country like Canada or any other Western country can be hard because you have your bills to pay. And if you're not able to make your ends meet, then it can be hard to live in this country, right? And a lot of people give up because they're not ready to live that that life of being hand to mouth, or just living that financial that life with financial difficulties. It could be that reason. Some people get disappointed because probably they're doing extremely well in their home country, and then when they have to move here, sometimes they don't get their dream jobs. They have to start from scratch all over again, and that can be very disappointing for some people. Right. Again, a lot of times this is all up here in our head, and we always act according to that, and it's very person to person. If you ask me personally, I am not somebody who gives up because of any challenges or difficulties that I face. Mm-hmm. But then that's me, and then there are people who have their own reasons, and again, not judging them. Mm-hmm. If they feel that they have a better life back home, then it is what it is.
That's right. So yeah, I hear stories of different people, and I've also been in those situations, right? When I came to Canada, so I was talking to one of my clients, right? And they were telling me how they, sometimes they walk a few miles just to save $3 for the bus fare, right? So I have done that personally, right? So I got myself a bike, right, so that I could save that, right? So those are some of the challenges, right? Again, right, so you have to have a very strong mindset to be able to survive in Canada, right? So what do you think are some of the Canada makes you go through a lot of tests, right? So what are those tests, and how can one prepare to pass those tests?
Yes, I agree. Canada makes us, it does definitely test our patience. It tests our, our strength, mental strength. It definitely tests us on all those, aspects. How do we prepare ourselves? I think the first thing, that's the question, right? How do we prepare ourselves? That's correct? Right. Yeah. So I think the first thing that we have to accept is that life is not going to be easy when you move to a new country. And I think as new immigrants, we have to accept that. The moment we book our ticket and we sit on that plane, we need to tell ourselves life is not going to be like what we are used to. I'm going to give you a very small example. When I had just recently moved to Canada, we had come to the university, right? Because my husband was going to study, and we had this another couple friend who had moved the same date as us. And the date we arrived, we were 4 or 5 couples that had arrived together. And the date we arrived, the other 3 couples were regularly meeting, but then this one couple suddenly disappeared. Nobody knew where they were, and we all were trying to locate them. We didn't know what their phone number was, or how to contact them, and we were really worried for them, like what exactly happened, because we all came together. And then finally, my husband and his other friends, they were able to figure out that where they were living. So they went to their apartment, and what they observed was that their house was a big mess. Okay. Like there was clothes and their the suitcases all open, and house was a big mess. And they were just devastated. And they asked him, what happened? What exactly? Like what's going on? Are you guys okay? Right. And their answer to that was, we thought we were coming here to improve our quality of life, but it seems like we've come here to deteriorate our quality of life. And by that they meant because they had to do their grocery shopping, they had to go in the bus, they had to probably wash the dishes, they had to cook themselves. Those are those little things that we don't realize when you are sitting on that plane. At that time, we're only thinking about future. We're only thinking about how things are going to be perfect when we come to Canada. We're going to a Western country. Oh my God, the luxury and everything. But we don't realize there are a lot of other challenges that come with it. And I'm talking about very small things. There are much bigger challenges that we face. Sometimes people come here with big dreams of finding their dream job. And for months and months and months, they're not able to find jobs. Giving you my own personal example, my husband came here to study at Schulich School of Business. After completing his MBA, he couldn't find a job for like months. And we had no source of income because I had a small baby. I was on maternity leave, and we didn't have source of income for months altogether. So we have to prepare ourselves that things will not go as per plan. Never. And we have to be ready to switch the gears and then accept whatever the next plan of action could be and just go with the flow. Because life never goes as per plan in Canada.
Absolutely. Do you think all the struggle that you had to go through, or anyone has to go through in Canada, it is worth it after 5 years or 10 years?
Again, it's very person to person. Everybody decides the worth of a struggle for themselves. If you ask me, all my struggles, were they worth it? Yes. Why? Because I have been able to make a mark in the industry, stand up on my own 2 feet today. And I feel that I have the potential to grow, to do well for myself, to support my children, to give my children a good life, despite being a single mother now. So for me, if you ask, were those challenges, were those struggles worth it? Absolutely. Would I want it any other way? Absolutely not. I am absolutely grateful to God for giving me those struggles, because that helped me become the woman I am today. And I think that goes for everybody. Our struggles only teach us. They only make us to become better, if you're ready to take them on head on.
That's right. I think Canada is a battlefield, right? So, and when you know what to expect in the battle, and you know that there are going to be challenges, half the battle gets won before you move to Canada, right? I think people who have achieved in Canada and are successful today are the people who knew that there are going to be challenges in Canada, they were okay facing those challenges, and that's why it did not feel like very challenging to them, and today they are very successful because of that.
That's true, and the never give up attitude. You just have to tell yourself that. I strongly go by the dialogue in Three Idiots movie. All will be well. Absolutely. All will be well. In the end, it always works out. Everything happens for a reason. As long as we accept that, we should go with the flow. We should never give up, because ultimately things will always work out. And that's my own personal experience. Things always work out in the end.
Absolutely. I agree. All right. So since we are on the question of struggles in Canada, what do you think are the type of people who should not move to Canada?
Oh my God. That's a hard one. I shouldn't be the one judging that. Anybody can move to Canada, to be honest. But probably let's rephrase that question. Who are the people who will eventually be successful in Canada and who will not move back in Canada? I mean, of course, keeping aside, any other health issues or family issues and all of that. Let's keep that aside, because that is not in our control. That's all up to God. But when it comes to, just emotional struggles and just financial struggles, or just in general physical hardships, then I personally feel people who are ready to take on any challenge, people who are ready to persevere, people who are determined, people who are not comparing their life in Canada to their life in their home country, are the ones who will succeed in Canada. And there are very less chances that they will ultimately go back.
All right. Now, moving on to your personal life and personal experiences. Who are your role models, and why are they your role models?
My role models keep changing, to be honest, because obviously from situation to situation, time to time, different phases of my life, because I've had a few phases in my life.
Absolutely.
So I've had a lot of role models. But if there has been one consistent role model for me, one person that I would say that I always look up to is my dad. Because I have seen my dad go through the struggles that I cannot even imagine. He is the true example of of rags to riches, to be honest. The family that he came from and the way he was able to build a career for himself, a business for himself, a position for himself in the society. I always look up to him, and I give full 100% credit to whoever I am today, to my father, because had it not been for my parents, especially my father, of course I'm not taking away the credit from my mother. She's played a huge role in raising me as well. But the exposure, the confidence, the kind of woman my dad dreamed me to be, I am that woman today, and I'm extremely proud of that. I every time I see my father and the pride he holds for me, it just gives me immense joy that I was able to make him proud. But he's my role model, definitely. Consistent role model, if I can say. Yeah.
That's very wonderful. And you did say it right, like, you cannot just have one role model, right? Even in a certain phase in life, right, you can have role models for different aspects in life, right? So you can have someone as a role model in your business and someone in your personal life, right? Or something, right? But yeah, so your father has been a consistent role model.
And I'm going to add something here.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is my own personal thing. And I'm not trying to be boisterous or anything here, but just want to share this, that, when you're younger, okay, and I'm not saying that I'm very old, but when you're younger, you have role models, right? Because you're trying to reach somewhere. And then after a few years of working and being in the professional in the profession, or just being in the industry, whichever industry you're in, you get to a point where you don't really need role models, because you're just trying to improve yourself. Now, if I have to talk about myself, I personally look up to myself as well a lot of times. I aim to be a role model for the younger generation. I aim to be an inspiration for other people. That's how I perceive myself. Because now I'm at a stage in life, whether it's professionally, whether it's emotionally, whether it's mentally, that I want other people to look up to me. And I'm grateful that I have been able to inspire a lot of young people who have come in touch with me, whether it's through my work, through my social media accounts, and they reach out to me to tell me that they feel inspired, and it makes me feel so happy that even if I'm able to touch one life,
Right.
my job is done.
Right.
So I think I'm at a point in life where I want to be a role model for people, and I want to inspire people by my journey and my hardships and my struggles.
That's great. I think, yeah, that's also one thing that keeps you going in life, right? And you want to continue to do the things that you're doing because you're inspiring other people's actions, right?
Exactly. That's a huge motivation for me to keep going, because even if I inspire one person per day, I think I'm doing something right.
Perfect. So what are some of your major failures in life, and how did you overcome them?
I've had so many failures, I mean, I can't name one failure because then that'll go too much into specifics of my business. But every day, I mean, day-to-day things, sometimes just, I'll give you an example, very small example. I was talking to a client yesterday, and the client was a little aggressive and said things that he shouldn't have said. And I was upset. I was very, very upset. And in that particular moment, I did react to his anger, and I was almost on the verge of losing that client. Now, losing the client was not a huge deal. That's fine. If there's a difference of opinion, it's okay to part ways. I don't disagree with that. But and then the moment I was reacting, I decided to step back, and I wanted to take a moment to myself. And then I sat back and I thought, was the reaction necessary? Was I supposed to react just in this particular moment? And then after, calming myself down, after forgiving him of his misbehavior, I went back in a more, calm manner with an appropriate game plan for the client. And I was able to convince the client that his behavior was wrong and things can be fixed. It's not the end of the world. And I was able to bring the client back. I wouldn't necessarily state this as a failure. I mean, failures in life are not necessarily mean that it just ruins your life. Very small things in life can also be termed as failure, day-to-day things. Not reaching on time for a committed appointment is a failure because you've not been able to reach, you've not been able to deliver is a failure, right? Right. But how we react to this. So I have had so many of those and I learned from them. Even when I was new in my profession of immigration, I would never ever say no to any kind of work. And why did I not say? Because I knew that unless I take on something, I will never be able to learn. So I never shy away from failures. I always take failures head on because I know ultimately I will be able to learn something from that failure. Whether, of course, it shouldn't be at the cost of somebody else's life or career. Of course, it cannot be that huge and we have to be extremely cautious about it. But then we should never shy away from failing because unless we fail, we're never going to learn and we're never going to improve.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And it's really inspiring. So tell us about the failures in life that you're thankful for. They've been blessing in disguise for you.
Okay, so now that you're talking about specifics, so let's maybe talk about some of my failures. Let's go back several years when I was young and I was in my early 20s, and I decided I'm going to do engineering, right? Because you know how in India there's this culture of follow the tribe kind of thing,
That's right.
I mean,
right.
If one person's doing it, you got to do it as well.
Yeah,
especially in India.
At my time, it was only medical or engineering, right? So either
or
you become a doctor or an
family
engineer.
Disappointment.
There's no third option.
The third option was your family disappointment.
Yeah, no fourth option.
So it's pretty much similar era. Right. So everybody had to be an engineer or a doctor, right? And I wanted to be an engineer. I was not cut out for engineering. I don't even know, I just did it because I felt that all my other friends were doing it. My parents wanted me to do it without even another thought. And just because there's so many engineering colleges in India, it's not hard to get into one. And I got into one and I was a failure. I had, in between my first semester and the sixth semester, so third year, I had 13 supplies. So, of course, it was a failure. 13 reappears in the first 6 terms. It was a joke. But I did not want to give up. And I've had this trait of not giving up since I was a little girl. And I decided that I'm not going to give up. Now I had nothing to fear. My parents knew about it. Everybody knew about it. My friends knew about it. So now this was out in the open. Everybody knew Shafoli has failed in 13 courses. She's a disaster. She will never be able to finish her engineering in 4 years. 7th semester, I took all my 13 exams and I cleared all of them in one go.
Wow.
And then 8th term, I did my 6 courses, regular courses, passed them all, and I graduated from my engineering degree in 4 years. Wow. So that was a failure. My never give up attitude, still able to complete my engineering degree in the 4 years that it was prescribed for.
So you took that as a challenge and you wanted to prove people wrong, basically.
I did not want to prove people wrong. No. This has always been with me. I've never tried to prove anybody anything. Okay. Never. I never do anything to prove anybody. I do it for myself, to prove to myself that I'm good enough. Because for me, I matter. How I look at myself, how I perceive myself matters. What others think of me doesn't matter.
Oh, that's really great. That's really great. Great. So if you could go back and give your 18-year-old one piece of advice, what would that be?
That don't care of what people think of you. People are always going to have their own opinions and judgments and thoughts about you, but don't give in. And I'm going to give you a very small example. All my life, up until even a few years ago, even sometimes, even now, I'm going to be honest, even right now, sometimes I feel so appearance has always remained a very important part of my life. And that's because of something that I experienced growing up. I was made to feel, and I'm not going to name anybody because I don't want to shame anybody, though that I'm going to let the bygones be bygones. But I was made to feel that I look ugly. So all my life, I have paid a lot of attention to how I looked, whether it was about my body, how my figure was, or how I looked, or how I dressed up, and so it has always remained a very important part of my life. And this was one thing that always made me feel as if I was insufficient. But then, I worked on that aspect, whether it was mentally or even physically. As a result, I work out. I make sure if this is something that truly gives me happiness, then I gotta continue doing it. So I make sure that I work out every day. I make sure that I dress up every day. I make sure that, because I know dressing up, looking good, being in my perfect, appearance will make me feel good. It's not about anybody else. I don't care what other people think. I don't care because half of the people don't even know me. So how does their opinion even matter? But how I feel about myself. Every morning when I look in the mirror, do I like the person I see? That is what is more important for me. And so I have always made sure that whatever I feel insufficient of, or whatever I feel are my weaknesses, I work on them and I try and improve on them.
That's really great. A lot of people, I think, are in that position who are, a lot of people are made to feel that they're not very good looking, and it shatters their self-confidence in a big way, in a huge way, right?
And people don't talk about it.
They don't.
We don't talk about it because we always keep that, we internalize it.
Absolutely.
And then we keep we keep feeling low of ourselves or insufficient inside. We don't express it. But what should rather be the right thing to do is, if that's making you feel insufficient, do something to change it so that you feel sufficient. Because it's not about people, it's always about you.
So let's go step by step, right? So there's people listening to this, right, who are probably going through this issue, right? How can they overcome that, right? What did you do right from the time you were made to feel this? What did you do to overcome this, and how have you reached this stage? What are the steps people can take to overcome this?
So if you're going to talk about my appearance aspect, then I will say that, when I was little, I've always been made to feel.
Sorry to interrupt, right? So one important point I want to make here is that, you can't do much about yes, there's plastic surgery available these days, right? You can, but, not everyone has the budget to do that. But then, we should understand that, God has given us a certain appearance and we cannot do much to change it. Not many people can do that, right? So knowing that cannot be changed, how are you going to overcome that?
And I didn't do any of the plastic surgery or any of that. No external measures used. I am original the way I was born, natural. But, okay. So appearance is not just about how you look. And I learned that very late in life. Appearance is never just about how you look. It is more than that. It is about how you talk, how you walk, how you dress up, with the confidence with which you speak. Those are the things that make your overall personality. So growing up, just because I've had, and I'm talking, when I say growing up, I'm talking about even when I was a very little kid, I would always feel that I need to do something to look better. So how did I start? When you're younger, you don't have much, knowledge, or you don't have that much exposure to things, but you take small steps. So I started small steps with making sure that I'm dressed well. I would, and I was lucky that, I was able, like my father, my parents were able to support me on whatever my needs were at that time. So I'm not going to, take away that credit. But yeah, I made those small efforts to always be well dressed. So I would spend money on buying clothes that really looked good on me. I started working out at one point. I was 18 years old when I started working out in the gym. I made sure that I came to an optimum weight level and I was fit. I did that. And then overall personality development. There were times that I would, I would never shy away from speaking, from public speaking or interacting with people, because I knew that, okay, maybe I wasn't doing it purposely, but I was just trying to get out there because that would make me feel good. So I wouldn't say that, at the age of 18, Shafoli knew that if I do this, if I go do public speaking, or if I go speak on the stage, or if I go interact with people, I'm going to become a better person. No, I wasn't doing it. It wasn't planned. But yes, whatever made me feel good at that point, I did it. Right? I did it, and then that just became a habit for me. I come across people who would tell me, oh, Shafoli, how come you're so confident? You can go and speak on the stage and we see you so confident. Because it is years of hard work, right? And it is years of not giving up. Years of not feeling embarrassed or ashamed.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So we just have to keep trying. And then, I mean, that constant effort ultimately makes you good at what you do.
Absolutely. I can completely relate to the public speaking experience, right? I was very shy, right? In your, back in the day, right? So we would get reading exercises. They would call upon students and ask them to read books in front of the whole class, right? And I would want to avoid that situation because I was not good at it, right? So, but then what happened was that I took this as a challenge, right? Because I knew that this is a weakness and I had to overcome this, right? And I constantly threw myself into those challenges, right? And I would not shy away from speaking in front of people, right? And I'm sure you did the same thing, right? So you continuously put yourself in fire, right? So that you could overcome that situation.
Small example of that is in the engineering classroom. Even though I was so bad at engineering, I would still go sit on the first desk. And every time the teacher would ask a question or the professor would ask a question, I would always raise my hand, whether I knew the answer or I don't. And even today, if I don't know if you've ever noticed this, because we've met at a few conferences and seminars as well, I always go and take the first seat. I love speaking up. I would always raise my hand and want to answer questions and want to ask questions. This is one easy way. Oh, if you're in a big space, in a big room with a lot of people and you get an opportunity to ask something, go ahead and ask. That's the biggest way of getting rid of that, embarrassment or that self-consciousness about speaking in public. Just get up and talk. Ask a stupid question. There are no stupid questions in this world.
Absolutely.
There are no stupid questions. Just go ask anything. I never shied away. Even today, even if I don't have a question, I'll still raise my hand. And then I'll suddenly think of a question and I'll just speak up. I love talking.
I think what holds most people back, and did not hold you and me back. I think I got rid of the fear of judgment of people. At that time, I was like, when I was putting myself in fire, I was not caring about what other people were thinking about me, right? My English was not good, right? I couldn't speak English really well, right? But I said, you know what? I have to put myself in this situation. No matter how people are judging, one day I will get it, right? And then today I'm at a stage, people compliment me, right? It feels good, right? But yeah, again, right, like you mentioned, people don't see the struggle and the challenges that we have overcome along the way, right?
Exactly,
it was years and years.
Not a part of our life when we were doing all that,
Absolutely.
right? And it's very easy to sit back and judge. Very easy. I'll give you a very small example. I just recently started weightlifting. I want to try that. And I made a video and I posted it on social media. And I'm giving you an example of myself, but I know celebrities and all these, people with influencers on social media get this all the time. But I made this video and I'm still learning, right? So I still can't lift very heavy weights. But I made this video of a snatch on Instagram and I posted it. And there was this one random person who posted on that video, this is impressive, but you have to work on your form. very easy to comment.
Absolutely.
But have you tried it? Do you know how hard it is? So people will always judge you. People will always say things. But don't give up of what makes you happy. That 1 hour class of weightlifting, even if I'm lifting 5 pounds, gives me happiness. Because I know that continuous effort will ultimately get me to a point where I will probably lift 100 pounds as well.
That's right.
And I don't care what people think about me.
Absolutely. I mean, when we're a work in progress, I think we should completely forget about the judgment of people, because when people see the finished product in front of them, they forget about what you look like in the past, right? Or what kind of a person you were in the past, right? And that's why, celebrities, they don't get judged by the things that the struggle that they had to go through in the past, right? So right now, because at this moment they are a finished product and people appreciate them for that, right?
And Harminder, it's not just about that. It's about people come and go in life.
Absolutely.
They don't stay. Everybody in your life is there for a limited period of time.
Absolutely.
And they ultimately move on. And when I say that, it's not just about friends or social acquaintances, it's also about family, right? Absolutely. Ultimately, people do move on, whether it's on their final journey,
right,
or whether it's just, part ways. Right. But things happen. So there are people who are only in your life for phases, right? So why worry about people who are just going to be there for a limited time? They don't even know what your ultimate aim in life is. And when for me, how I look at this is there's never an ultimate goal. Because you never stop learning. You never stop growing. Right. No matter what stage of life, you think a weightlifter, and I'm giving this example just because we talked about it, if he's lifted 225 pounds, would he not want to lift 300 pounds? Absolutely. Would he not want to, after that, lift 400 pounds? So there's never an end to our aspirations. We're a work in progress. My grandfather is 90 years old and he's still working. Right? So we always grow. We always evolve. I still learn so much from my children.
Oh, yeah.
So we learn every day, every single day.
From everyone. Yeah. Perfect. So if you could be remembered for one thing, what would that be?
My never give up attitude. I never, ever, ever give up, no matter the situation. I just don't give up. I try in different ways. I will stop for some time and then try again, but I never give up. I never say, I can't do it. Why can't I? If someone else can do it, I can do it too. Anything in this world. Nothing in this world is rocket science. In fact, you know what? Even rocket science is not rocket science. Because ultimately, it's humans who are doing rocket science, right? So even rocket science is not rocket science. So if that person can do it, then I can do it too.
Wow.
It's just that we have to put our heart and soul into it.
I think that's a great legacy to leave behind for children, right? So you can leave a lot of wealth, but that's not going to last for too long. But if you leave these kind of legacies behind for your children, they're really going to appreciate that.
Sometimes people ask me, because I work long hours, so people ask me that, don't you have mom guilt? Because I'm a mom of 2, by the way. So people ask me, don't you have mom guilt? And I say no. I have no mom guilt. Working 10 hours, 12 hours a day gives me no mom guilt. Because it's not that I'm not there for my children. If they need me, I'm there. I have made sure that they have a safe and productive environment where they're taken care of and they're well nurtured. But do I have mom guilt that I'm not there to put the food in their plate and then feed them? No, I don't have that mom guilt. For 2 reasons. One, I'm raising 2 independent people, especially boys. I'm mother of 2 boys. It's so important for me to know that my boys today are being raised in a way that tomorrow they're not dependent on another woman to feed them. They are independent enough. So that's my first thing. And number 2, they see their mom working hard, and I am setting example for them. I am their role model. I am the person they will look up to tomorrow. And whenever they decide to give up on something, they will think, but our mom never gave up.
No,
how can we give up?
Yeah, just like you look up to your father, right?
Exactly.
Like, he never gave up, and that's become your trait now.
Right? So I have no mom guilt of not being there for every fall of my kids. No, they can they're humans. They're not animals. They're humans. Even animals can do that for themselves. They can get up and okay, if there is something serious, I'm always there for them. On a beck of their call, I'm there. But not for it shouldn't be like that. We need to raise independent humans.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Well,
And I'm not a helicopter mom, by the way.
What does that mean?
Always hovering over them.
Always
Oh, what are
hovering.
you
Okay.
doing? Why are you doing that?
Keeping a check on things. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Now moving on to business. You're an entrepreneur. Why did you choose to do business, and what was your motivation behind starting a business?
So you're going to say a lot of things happen in life with me just they just happen.
like-
I don't plan them. I never plan things in life because it's so funny. I can't even plan a weekend. So forget about planning my life. I just go with the flow. That's how I've always been. And I'm grateful to God. Things have always worked. I mean, of course, with challenges, but things have ultimately worked out for me. How did I start the business? Again, it was the need of the hour. My husband couldn't find a job. He was without a job. I was on maternity leave. The company that I used to work with was shutting down. I had no job to go back to after maternity leave, and we had no money, absolutely no money. And my husband was doing interviews. He couldn't find a job. I had a newborn baby of 6 months at that time. I did not want to return to a 9 to 5 because I wanted flexibility with my son. That was my firstborn, and at that point, starting a business seemed to be the best option, just because I come from a business family. My father owns a travel business, and he's had it at that time. He had it for almost good 30 years, and I grew up in that environment. So I felt that it'll be easier for me to sort of start the business in Canada. So with the support, of course, of my father and my husband and I, we both of us started our business at that point in time. And yeah, that was back in 2011. And we started the business. But of course, as they say, businesses, they never, you never start making, profits the day you start your business.
Absolutely.
I mean, it takes years and years and years of hard work to even get the business off the ground. Because for years initially, you just keep dragging your feet for a very long distance. So we were dragging our feet, and we had a lot of financial hardship. We had no money. Sometimes we didn't even know if we will be able to pay the mortgage or the rent for that month. But we never gave up. We just kept at it because we knew we didn't have a choice. We had no other option. We had no plan B. And we kept going at it. But then it was sometime in 2016 that I realized that, I need another source of income because this is not happening. Because by that time, we'd already had our second son.
Okay.
And things weren't working. It was hard, financial hardships. We would depend a lot of times on my parents for financial support. Life was not easy, and it was very, very discouraging and very humiliating as well, as you can say, because when you're at a certain age with 2 kids, you don't want to always go back to your parents and keep asking for money.
Right.
So that is when I decided that, both my husband and I, we cannot be in the same business. I need to diversify. And that's when I ventured into the immigration industry, and I started my business. I did the program, I got my license, and then I started my immigration firm in the year 2018.
Oh, wow.
And that's it. And this has been my baby since then, and with no looking back.
Wow. Wonderful. So what were some of the challenges that you had to face starting a business as a woman, especially? Yes, I understand you had reasons because your husband wasn't able to find a job, and you couldn't work because you needed to spend time with your child. But there are people who are already in a comfortable job, right, and they want to start a business, right? So what do you think were your challenges, and what are the challenges some people in this type of situation face?
I think the biggest deterrent or a biggest holdback for a lot of people starting a new business is the financial aspect of it, because they think that if they start a business, how are they going to afford their lifestyle? Or because it's not going to be that easy initially when you're starting out, right? am somebody who believes in going all out. I'm not somebody who likes to be on two boats, because I personally feel that when you're on two boats, it never. Because if I look back, 15 years, I probably would not be able to make it work for me had I another option, had I had the option of going back to a job. Right? Because what happens is that when you're in your comfort zone, then you just get too comfortable. And success never comes in your comfort zone. It always comes outside of your comfort zone. You have to give yourself that, because that fire will not come unless you are actually gasping for air. You have to, be out of air. You have to look for oxygen, and your oxygen at that point in time comes from giving everything you got, which you cannot. So if you're in a 9 to 5 and then you're also doing your business on the side, again, I'm not generalizing it. I'm sure a lot of people have also made it work like that. But in most cases, unless you give it all, it's very hard to scale a business. You can do self-employment on the side, and you can also have a business running, or like a job running on the side, and then have self-employment on the side. But if you're talking about business and scaling that business, it wouldn't come unless you're giving all you got. That growth will only come when you're outside your comfort zone.
So you mean to say people who do not have a job have better chances of succeeding at a business than people who are already in a job?
I would like to say that yes, it's definitely because what happens is that when you don't have any other source of income, and you have nothing else to fall back on, and you have this one thing that you're passionate about, and you want to make it work, because not only because you want to make it work because it's your passion, but also because it's going to help you pay your bills, then you think out of the box. Because imagine if in a day you have 24 hours, of which you're spending 8 hours at a job, you're mentally exhausted when you come back. You don't have that much time to think, to then invest in your own business. And when I say invest, it doesn't mean financially. Invest your time, your energy, your thoughts. Even in my current business, I feel sometimes that, although I've been in this industry for almost 6 years now, 5 to 6 years, I feel that sometimes when I have to do something out of the box, I don't have the time to do it because I'm so busy in my routine work, right? Things that I do, like, I'm so confident and comfortable doing. But then if there's something else that I want to do, which is different, then I don't get the time. So anything new you're trying to do, or anything else that you want to succeed in, you need to invest in it, your time, your energy, your thought process, your emotions, that fire, everything needs to go in. And if you're not doing that, then you can't expect those results. You can't expect to build an empire by just putting in 50% of your effort.
Absolutely.
It always has to be 200% effort.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with you. Completely agree. So what advice do you have for women who want to start a business?
For women, oh my God, I can give so many advices to women, because I know I'm not trying to be a feminist here, but I think women are vulnerable. A lot of women are vulnerable, and we go a lot by opinions and what our partner thinks, what our in-laws think, what our family thinks, what our children think. Oh my God, I'm not feeding my child on time. So first of all, get rid of all the opinion and the guilt that you have been living with all these years, because it's your life. You got to live your life on your terms. It doesn't matter what your husband thinks, or what your wife, what your in-laws think, or what anybody else in the world thinks, because whatever you're doing is what will give you that happiness. If starting a business gives you happiness, then do that. If sitting at home gives you happiness, being a stay-at-home mom gives you happiness, do that. Don't let other people's opinions drive you. Don't let other people's comments drive your passion. Don't give in to all of that. Do what truly makes you happy, and whether it's again, no judgment, even if that means staying at home, being a stay-at-home mom gives you happiness, do that. Doing something out of your comfort of your home gives you happiness, do that. But do what makes you happy. That's my biggest thing that I want to, that's the biggest advice I'd like to give to a lot of women, because I have been also, I've experienced that in my life, of being a football of other people's opinions. Oh, she goes to office in the morning and then she doesn't come back until evening. Well, if that works for me, I'm going to do that. And you're nobody because you're not paying my bills. I'm paying my bills. She's a single mother. She chose to separate from her husband. Well, you don't know my challenges. I know my challenges. So nobody, don't give that right to anybody to decide for you or make you feel inferior about yourself.
Very well said. Very well. Well, what do you think? Is there a special characteristic a woman must have in order to do a business, or any woman is cut for it?
Any woman is cut for it. It's not about male or women here, it's about you as a person, of what your goals are as a human, what you want to do with your life, what you want to achieve in your life. Do you have, some people are driven by money, some people are driven by passion, some people are driven by fame, some people are driven by just the fact that they want to be independent. So everybody has their own driving force behind them. Whatever. And it has nothing to do with men and women. Anybody is cut out to do business as long as you have been able to find out what your driving force is, what makes you happy, what gets you going. For me, it's never money. I always feel money is a byproduct of good work. If you're doing good work, money will automatically come to you. I've never, till date in my life, experienced a client refusing to pay me for my work because they have seen my work. They've seen my passion. They will pay. Maybe if they're running short on cash or they don't have the resources at that point, they might give it in some time, but they will ultimately pay me. So money is for me, money has never been the driving force. For me, it's always about good work, about getting my name out there, being established, leaving a mark in the industry. That's what is the driving force for me. It's never money.
That's good. That's good. So what are the 3 important skills required to build a successful business?
For me, it's always been perseverance, determination, the never give up attitude. Again, I'm no business tycoon here. I don't have a huge team of people. I make mistakes every single day. Small mistakes, like even sometimes just organizing my day can be a huge challenge for me sometimes because I'm just overloaded with work and my brain is foggy and I can't make it work. But then, do I give up? No. Never look at problem as a problem. Look at a problem as there is a problem and now let's find a solution. Never look at a problem as if it's at the end of the world. Oh my God, what are we going to do now? It's over. I never look at problems like that. I look at a problem. We got this. We got to solve this. And every problem in this life, in this world, personal life, professional life, everywhere is solvable. There is no problem in this world that cannot be resolved. There's a problem. You resolve it. You find a solution. Put your thinking hat on and fix it. And you move on to the next problem. And we have problems every day. And that's what I've learned with entrepreneurship. Every single day there's a new problem. I wake up and there's something new. Every day there's something new. And then all day you spend trying to fix it. And then next morning, repeat.
That's right. Yeah. It also puts you behind on a lot of work, right? And that again becomes another challenge for you, right? Another problem. All right. So what's your favorite productivity hack as an entrepreneur?
So I think for entrepreneurs, and I'm very bad at it right now, but that's my next basic goal to achieve in my business, and that's being more organized and on top of things. I am on top of things, but in a very, very, not a very organized manner. So I need to be a little more organized, and I feel that productivity comes from being organized. If you're organized, if you're on top of your deadlines and you're on top of your work, on your tasks to be done for the day, you are more productive.
Okay, so as a businesswoman, what strategies do you employ to maintain a work-life balance and manage various responsibilities you have?
I have no work-life balance. And when I say that, it doesn't mean that I don't spend time with my family or I'm not home or I don't have a personal life. No. But how things work for me is I have my work, which is my priority, and then I have everything else in my life revolve around it. Mm-hmm. So let's say if I have, like for today, for example, I had to come here. So this is my personal life, right? But I make sure that I make time for other things in my life around my work. But my work is always my priority. So if I need to do something at work, I will do it. And then I will place things in a way during my workday or my weekends or my personal lifetime where I can then surround other things around my work life. So if I have personal things to do, I will do those. But then obviously my work always remains in the center. And my personal life revolves around it.
Right. So would you say that work-life balance doesn't exist, or
I think it's person to person. Everybody tries to make it work for the way it works for them. I have tried many things. I've tried a lot of things, and I think this works the best for me because then I don't have a guilt that I'm not paying attention to what needs to be done. Because the kind of work that we're in, we also deal with a lot of deadlines. Our work is very deadline oriented as well. Sometimes something needs to be done right then and there. I mean, of course, we get a certain amount of time to get that thing done, but then sometimes we can only do it at the last minute because of whatever, process it involves or whatever information we need or documentation we need from the client. Sometimes it can take time, right? So, it can be last minute as well. So I always keep my work as priority. And then, like I said, I try to do other things. I never, give up on any of my other personal life enjoyments or my time with my children or anything. I do all of that, but then I also make sure that if something needs to be done at work, I'm giving that priority, and everything else either can be postponed or can be, managed at some other time of the day.
Right. Talking about guilt, this is something a lot of people experience. Right. How does one rid themselves of the guilt of not spending time with their family or with their children? Because children demand a lot of time, and they do need time and attention, of course, right? So how do you personally rid yourself of that guilt, or do you compensate for it in some other way?
So, like I said earlier on as well, I personally don't carry that much guilt. Maybe because of my passion to do something in life. I don't have that much guilt. My kids, when they were very little, I was there for them. Because, majority times kids need a lot of your time when they're very little, when they're dependent on you,
Sure.
Their time to sleep, their time to eat. So one parent always needs to be there. But then now my kids are older, right? They're not like babies. So they're older and they understand a lot of how I function and how I work. So what I do is on weekends, I will not go to the office. Instead, I'm going to sit at home and I'll do my work. And then in between, we'll go out for dinners or we'll go out for lunches or we'll go out. My kids enjoy sports. We'll go karting or we'll go bowling or we'll go to birthday parties. So it's not that I'm making them sacrifice on anything. That sometimes I'll even carry my laptop with me. So let's assume my kids have to play a basketball game. Both my kids were playing basketball all winter. So I go to their basketball game with them and then I sit there and I work on my computer while they're playing. So they get some time to practice. While they're practicing, I'll probably do my work. And when they're playing, then I'll just focus on their games. So we just got to make it work. Absolutely. And it's different for every family, right? Every family demands or every child demands a different kind of, I'll keep my children busy so that they don't feel as if
You're not there.
I'm not there for them, right? So I always carry my laptop bag everywhere, and wherever I get time outside of my office, I'll just open my laptop and I'll do whatever I need to do. I instead of sitting and gossiping with other moms, I choose to sit in a corner and just open my laptop and do my work instead of just sitting and gossiping and talking random things. That's how I make things work for them.
I guess that can be one of the productivity hacks.
Exactly. Right. Gossip less. Talk less about other people. Focus on yourself. Focus on yourself.
Absolutely. All right. So, what are some of the key lessons you've learned throughout your career that have had a profound impact on your approach to business?
That never shy from trying something. I think the biggest thing is that people kind of they have preconceived notions that, oh, I don't think so I can do that. I don't think so I can do that. Initially, when you're starting out in a business, you need to try everything and anything that falls under the scope of your business. And then, gradually, as time evolves, like with time, as you grow or as you become more experienced, and once you've had a taste, like you've tasted different kind of, whatever like category of business you're in, then you can decide on what you want to specialize in. But initially, when you're starting out, I would just say that never shy from taking on, trying different things, because you never know what your expertise is at, or you never know what you can really be good at. Sometimes, you can surprise yourself as well. So never shy away that you can, you're going to fail at it, or you're not going to succeed. Perfection, another biggest scam. Don't go by it. There's nothing called as perfection. As long as you're getting the job done is all that matters. And there is no concept of perfection. Gone are those days when people used to talk about who wants to be perfect. Nobody wants to be perfect. We just want to be good at what we're doing. Practice makes you good. It doesn't make you perfect. That's no, there's no perfection. Nobody's perfect in this life. Nobody is perfect.
Absolutely. All right. So, what advice would you give to women who aspire to build a business, a successful career in business or entrepreneurship?
I think again, I would like to say the same thing, that if do whatever makes you happy. Try to get rid of your guilt, because I know that's the biggest, at least for women that I know or I've come in touch with. Guilt is a huge thing for them, that, oh, how do I leave my child behind in the daycare? And then, because business can be very, very, it needs a lot of your time. Business is basically a baby too. Your children can at one point learn to eat on themselves, but business will always need you. Absolutely. Even if it goes on a pilot mode at one point where, it's self-operating, but still it will need you at some point to shift gears or make changes or, something. It will always, and that's a long, long way from, depending on, of course, your business plan. So business is your baby, and you need to treat your business just the way you treat your baby. I mean, you have to nurture your business the way you've nurtured your children. So don't think that your business is any less than the child that you've given birth to. So as long as you accept that, I think you and always keep trying new things, try new avenues, meet new people, talk to new people, see if you need a mentor. If talking to other people help, going to networking events help, finding your tribe helps, and those are the kind of things that can help you at least get you on the runway at least.
Absolutely. Now, talking about meeting people, networking with people, what can you discuss the role of networking and building relationships in entrepreneurship, and any tips you have for building a strong professional network?
Yes. And again, this also goes from person to person because of their personality. Some people are very outgoing and they like to meet people and they like to interact with people. In those scenarios, it's easy for them to, go to networking events or just to socialize with their colleagues in the industry or outside of the industry as well. But then there are other people who are not that outgoing, or they have their own physical or personal limitations, their family limitations, and then they can't go out. But then, we're in the post-COVID era. There are networking events. I think that's a very good starting point in today's, and I think we should be thankful to COVID. That's one good thing that COVID did. Starting online is a great way to get comfortable with networking because you're there, but you're also not there. Because when you're online and you're on Zoom calls and everything, you don't necessarily have to go and meet everybody and shake your hand and, introduce yourself. And at the same time, you also get an opportunity to do your elevator pitches. You also get the opportunity to, interact with people. And then you can select who you want to, when you look at other people talking, then you can decide who you want to talk to. And then later, after the presentation or after the networking event, you can probably write them an email or give them a call or try to meet up with them and, build that relationship. Whereas in a networking event, when you're out there in person. It's sometimes, for people who are a little bit uncomfortable in large gatherings, they become a little, uncomfortable. How do I go introduce myself? How do I give my elevator pitch? All of that can be a little overwhelming initially. So I think online, starting out, if you're somebody who's a little bit reserved, starting out online is a great option, and there are lots of opportunities there. So that's just when you're starting out. And then comes a point when, okay, you're comfortable in your business, people know you, you're okay, you're out there, then you might not necessarily need those networking events, but then at that point you need a tribe. You need a tribe that you can connect with, people, like-minded people that are very close to you, and then you can, brainstorm ideas, you can meet up sometimes, you can go socialize, because, I'm also going to tell you, being a business owner can sometimes be very isolating too, especially if you're somebody who's on the path to succeeding. It can be isolating.
As they say,
you will have a
lonely
lot.
at the top, right?
Yes, you will lose friends. You will lose. Actually, that's the time you will realize you never had friends. Those were people who were a part of your journey up until a certain point, and then after that, so every time you step up on the ladder, you change your circle. You change the type of people you interact with, because the ones who were with you, if they're not at the same pace with you or not at the same level at you, whether it's intellectual, whether it's physical, personal, professional, or anything, they will not be happy with your success. And that's the point when you start getting those vibes, that is the time it's time to move on to the next step. And it's time to change your social circle. Right. But at the same time, you still need a tribe of people that you connect with. And they don't necessarily need to be your friends. They can just be people you connect with once a day, 2 times a day, or maybe once a week, or just to talk, went out, release your energies, and then come back rejuvenated and start back. And I truly believe in that. I don't believe in the concept of friendships anymore. I feel the word friendship is overrated. I strongly believe in that, but that's my personal experience.
Yeah, when you were telling me about, losing friends as you move up the ladder, I was like picturing a rocket. When the rocket keeps going up, it sheds some of its parts, or what's that called? I don't know, right? And it becomes lighter and lighter and lighter. It has to, right? I guess, yeah. I mean, there would anyway have been a baggage, right? If you carried forward, them to the top, right? So it's good to get rid of people who are not supportive of you.
And keep your detachment game strong.
Right.
Keep your detachment, because there's nothing that's permanent in life. Absolutely. Keep your detachment game strong. If things are not working out with someone, that means that's it. That was the end of that relationship or the story. And then move on to the next chapter, because ultimately, it's about you. It's about your life. It's about you're the only person who's going to be with you until you die. Absolutely. From the time you were born until the time you die. You're the only one who's going to be with you. Everybody else ultimately comes and goes, teaches you a lesson, gives you an experience, and move. Mm-hmm. You are the person who will know your life story right from the start to the end. So make sure it's a good one.
Very well said. Very good. Very good. Impressive. All right, so we are towards the end of the podcast. I asked you a lot of questions. You answered them really well and very enthusiastically. What is one question that you wish I had asked you, and how would you have answered it?
Okay. Okay, one question that you could have asked me probably was, what is the one thing that I like about entrepreneurship? Mm-hmm. It has given me wings to fly. Wow. That I wouldn't have had if I was probably in a job or in a 9 to 5. Entrepreneurship has taught me that there is no upper ceiling. It has taught me that there's just not one thing that you can learn in life. You can learn anything you put your heart and soul into. You can do anything you want to do. And it has made me very humble. It has made me very patient. It has made me, there are different kind of people that you come across, different kind of experiences you get when you are in your own business, in your own, the sense of contentment, the satisfaction that I get being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, it's just beyond words. It's beyond comprehension. It has given me wings to fly.
Absolutely. I think the perks, a lot of people think that, business is challenging. Yes, no doubt business is challenging. I think if you compare the perks to the challenges, perks always outweigh the challenges.
And it's not about the flexibility part, or it's not about how much you can earn. It's not about all of this.
Right.
No,
It's a personal
it's about
satisfaction,
things
right?
that you can do.
Right.
There's nobody who's trying to bind you to do only a certain.
Pull you back, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are free to do what you want to do. Today, I don't want to do this, but I want to try something else. I am free to do that.
That's right.
And that is what I have tried so many things in the last 10 years of my career. I have thought out of the box in so many things that it amazes me myself that I can do so much. And sometimes I've surprised myself also by doing things that I thought I couldn't do. So it definitely has given me the range. If you asked me 5 years ago, what kind of woman you want to be, I think it's more about the person I have become. In these 5 years, my experiences have made me a more complete person. Again, I'm not complete by any definition, but at least I feel I'm content. I'm satisfied. I know I'm a work in progress. I know I can do better. But am I happy with who I am today? Yes. And who do I give the credit to? Being an entrepreneur, the business, the experiences I've had, which probably I wouldn't have had if I was in a job.
Right. Completely agree. Wonderful. All right. So lastly, where can your listeners find you?
It's very easy to find me. I'll tell you why. Because if you search my name, it's spelled so uniquely that I am the only Shafoli Kapur in this whole wide world, even on the Google. So it's so easy to find me. But precisely, just a brief, quick introduction. My name is Shafoli Kapur. As you said, I'm a business owner, a mother of 2 young kids, a single mother of 2 young kids. The name of my business is Immigration. You can find me on Instagram under my personal handle, Shafoli, or you can find me on my business handle, which is Immigration. You can also find me on LinkedIn. Again, my name is Shafoli Kapur. You can find me on my website. You can,
Just
So,
Google you, right?
just Google me.
Put all the links down below.
Google me. It's easy. There's just one Shafoli in the
How do
whole
you spell
world.
the last name? So first name is Shafoli, and last name is
Kapur, Kapur.
Perfect. All right. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Shafoli. Thank you for being here. It was really an honor and a pleasure to have you here as a guest, and we shared a lot of insight. We delved into your personal life and your business life, and it was really fruitful. I'm sure our audience will find a lot of value from this podcast, and hope to see you once again in the future to discuss a few more questions related to business and personal life.
Thank you so much, Arminder. Thank you again for having me today.